Hello, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation, and what you're looking at is a blank slate. Yes, that's right. This space represents the vast majority of Americans who do not own any precious metals to speak of, aside from maybe a gold wedding band. But the vast majority of Americans do not invest or hold these precious metals that we hold so dear here. In fact, estimates from some consultants say that about between 1 and 3% of the American population own gold and silver. The study suggests that somewhere between 2.5 million and 25 million Americans own gold and silver as a hedge against economic instability. That's a pretty wide range of numbers, but considering that we have well over 310 million people in this country, it's a very small percentage. Now, in Eastern countries, in the Orient and the like, and in India, well, they obviously own a lot more because of their culture, but many Western European countries are probably closer to what the United States holds. But I would argue that even the European countries, the percentage in their nations probably hold more precious metals as a hedge against inflation than Americans. And it's ironic that I make that statement because this video is about not comparing yourselves to anyone else. But the thing is, let it be an encouragement because if you acquire any precious metals, well, you're ahead of the game. So it's a low bar here in the United States. So then the question is well, what about those of us who do acquire the precious metals, especially here on YouTube, especially when I first joined up? A lot of people were showing a lot of different pieces out there. And it got to be one of those things where there was a lot of envious, friendly, boy, I wish I had that, boy, I'd like to get this. And so, as inspired by Wolfman Sachs, don't compare yourself to anyone else. Because whether or not you have this much silver or this much silver, you're ahead of the game compared to the vast majority of Americans that are out there. Whether or not you have this much gold or this much gold, it really makes no matter because any amount that you do have, well, you're ahead of the game. These precious metals are something that we can hold on to, and they certainly do protect us from economic instability. And if you have a little, if you have a lot, it's all going to add up. And that's how I look at it. At the end of the day, these precious metals we hold dear here to protect us from economic instability and to enjoy as well. And so when you hold these metals, you are essentially protecting yourself in a sense, in a sort of a savings account, so to speak. And it's a savings account that's not easy to spend because these precious metals really are not seen as currency these days, but as a protection in economic hard times. And so when you see somebody that has a whole lot more than you do, or someone who has a whole lot less than you do, well, they are protected by whatever they do have, whatever holdings they have. And I would argue that if someone has 10 ounces and that they've accumulated over the last 20 years, well, that's a whole lot more than someone who is not accumulating at all. The vast majority of Americans don't really know about these precious metals and what they hold to help protect them, to protect themselves. And, there was others out there who give, a tenth of an ounce of silver away or an ounce of silver away to their friends and family to educate them on the importance and how silver has been used as money for centuries and how gold has been treasured and used as money for centuries and even millennia. There was a time when when people held these metals to spend here in America before 1965. And so during that period of time, at least for silver, well, you could compare. And even though you really shouldn't, because the precious metal value in those pieces and what was spent certainly did add up and held true to their intrinsic. It just turns out that with our economic and monetary policies here in the United States, well, we couldn't keep up with silver. So they ended up removing themselves from the silver standard, or at least to being able to use silver in this small change, such as this dime here. But nonetheless, we encourage each other. And as Wolfman Sachs said in his video, it's about an encouragement. If anybody acquires a tube of Eagles or an ounce of gold here or an ounce of gold there, well, you encourage them. This is wonderful. And if they get more than you do, that's okay. Because, it just means that they may have the means to do it, and they're protecting themselves, and it encourages you. Yeah, you may not be able to get a full ounce of gold at any particular time, but in time you may be able to get a tenth of an ounce of gold. And gold is gold, no matter what. There might be a slight difference in composition or what have you, but if you can get the tiny pieces, well, you're much closer to being able to add it up to get a full ounce. And same thing with silver. I posted a video about a tubular journey of silver eagles, literally getting one or two at a time. And that's all it takes. After a while you have a full tube, and it's amazing that, hey, there's a full tube of eagles there. Yes, it took me a while to put it together, but nonetheless, you go at your own pace. And really, that's all you can do. You're fiscally responsible in acquiring these precious metals, and that fiscal responsibility will pay off in the long run, because better to be debt-free and to have accumulated 10 ounces of silver than to accumulate a bunch of debt and to have 100 ounces of silver. And with that debt weighing down on you, thinking that you bought silver at a great price, that 100 ounces, well, when it's all said and done, you've lost all that potential profit, so to speak, and with the interest rates that have occurred over time, plus the stress of having to have that thing paid off and in a certain amount of time, and notwithstanding any other emergencies that may come your way that could take away from your ability to procure precious metals down the road. So don't compare, and don't fall into the trap of trying to keep up with your fellow stackers and accumulators of precious metals out there, because, each one of us is unique. Each one of us is different in how we accumulate these precious metals and what kinds we buy, what we consider to be good purchases or not. What's all said and done, we're all protected by the intrinsic. I've said that many times on this channel. And so just be encouraged. It's that's what it's about. We encourage each other here, and we don't compare, and we don't get consumed by being able to accumulate any certain amount because of what someone shows in a video or not. And that's what it's all about, about have the confidence in knowing that the metals that you have will protect yourselves, and they're beautiful. These are beautiful pieces, definitely, for sure. It's you can have a coin that you just love and adore, and take it out, look at it, glance at it once in a while. Be proud in what you hold, even if it's not a full ounce in this particular case, or even if it's not, a particular coin in another case. The fact that you have some, the fact that you have the wherewithal and to accumulate these precious metals over time and have stuck with it through all the other different, supposed investments that are out there. You hear about cryptocurrencies now and that craze. Well, somebody can hold, $8,000 in one Bitcoin. And I have maybe just over $1,000 or what have you in this gold coin. But you know what? This is intrinsic. This has value that has surpassed generations and really millennia. The metal that's in this piece right here. So hold true to that and know that what you have is valuable. No regrets. And we move forward with whatever precious metals we have. And that will keep us going and give us the confidence that what we have here in these precious metals will survive our lifetimes and generations to come. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to y'all for watching and encourage you to please rate, comment, and subscribe.